Hi, this is Trina Stutzman from Trina Stutzman Coaching. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're episode 372 with the recovering people pleaser, my really good friend, Trina Stutzman. And Trina came on and made me kind of almost see myself in the mirror on some of the stuff that she's went through as well. She is a recovering people pleaser, grew up in kind of a land of conformity, which she gets into her story there, and how she just really decided to take responsibility and make the break, and how she's helping other people that are bending over backwards for others, getting walked on, to really find their voice, stand their ground, and then live a life of abundance and prosperity from a point of view of service and also for yourself. So if you are kind of a people pleaser or you know one, maybe share this episode with them. Maybe someone out there needs to hear it or like it and subscribe to it, because that really helps my sponsors and affiliates. So break out your digital note taker, sit back, relax, because here's my really good friend, the author and awesome coach, Trina Stutzman. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson and my awesome sauce friend, Trina Stutzman. She decided to reschedule it quickly with me. I was supposed to interview her last week, but something happened with my gut bio, something or another, and it kind of set me back. But I'm so blessed to have Trina on. There's going to be a book giveaway at the end, so you have to listen to the end to get that. And her book absolutely rocks. And Trina, she had a wake-up call when a friend said to her, people pleasers are liars. Trina was 50 years old at the time, and to that point, she felt like her life was a lie. 20 years earlier, Trina was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and knew there was disease, DISEA-EASE, in her body, and was unwilling to express her truth and wasn't free to act and be. When she realized her life was a lie, Trina decided to grow. And Trina used her voice to be the CEO of her life. She decided to leave a 30-year marriage, which takes some serious cojones. She started on a recovery from people pleasing and worked through the steps which are in her book, which we're going to cover briefly over. And she shared her steps in her journey in that book as well. And I'm so blessed to have somebody that comes from a thriving, growing mindset to come on Time to Shine Today. And Trina, thanks for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Hot pink. I wore
What?
it.
I love it. I love it. It looks
Wearing my
really
favorite
rocking on
color
you.
because I knew I wanted to shine today. And when we look good, we feel good. So here we go.
If I would have known that, I would have rocked my pink too, because my lady's
Oh,
always like, wear
man.
your pink. You look great. So, Trina, let's get what you're comfortable sharing. I'd love to get back to
Sure.
kind of roots growing up and then into this marriage, leaving it, and then how you're using the lessons learned along the way to help others level up.
Sure. Sure. Well, I think we many of us have grown up in tight religious communities where we're told to kind of fit the mold and, go along to get along. And that's kind of been my story. I grew up in this community, a Mennonite community that was considered, if we were all the same, then we would all be one. That was kind of the concept, sameness is oneness. And so I grew up that compliant, good girl, and didn't make waves, wanted to, you know, be a little bit bold, but there was not a lot of room for that. And so, I used that desire for approval that I was really into as a young girl, into a pretty significant athletic career that I took off on. But I guess I kind of see that as a positive, that I was kind of thirsting for that approval in a lot of areas of my life. And I went on the typical path, got married after college and started a family. And as you said, I experienced that midlife crisis, first with a cancer diagnosis when I was pregnant with my third child. That was a serious wake-up call. I was active and athletic, and to hear that C word, cancer, was really the wake-up call. And I realized that was when I needed to change. And I had thyroid cancer, which obviously is in the throat. So I kind of connected that dis-ease with using my voice, and really decided that it was time. It was time to start being more myself. And I think we all suffer when we're not ourselves. And that is really the gist of my coaching business, is really to help people show up, stop conforming, and to really let their light shine, as we're talking about
Oh my
today, time to
gosh.
shine. So it's always clumsy when we change, right? It's always awkward and clumsy to learn a new dance, but that's what people pleasing is all about. We have to get comfortable with being clumsy, awkward, and uncomfortable. And leaving that 30-year marriage was very, very challenging. But I gave it my best shot. It's not what I expected, but when you start on the path to people pleasing, you really become a truth teller. And I began to really tell the truth to myself. And that was that, this wasn't working for me. And those are hard decisions to make as a people pleaser because we're not used to valuing our feelings and what we need. So that is my story. And I love to write. And it was through COVID that I had an opportunity to really put my thoughts down on paper and get the book published. And I'm so thrilled that it's helping lots of people be more honest. As you said, people pleasers are liars, and that can be that was my wake up call. I know that can sound traumatizing to some people who have experienced trauma and have had to people please because they lived in chaotic homes, and I don't want to dismiss that.
Yeah.
But for me, that was my wake up call when I realized that I really wasn't living an honest life.
Yeah, I guess interview's done then. No, I'm just kidding. No, we got a lot to unpack here because I'm a big believer, even with my coaching clients, that when you start with them, and I'm sure you see this, that it's messy at first or hard at first, messy in the middle, and then it's beautiful at the end, right? When you
Yes.
get them in there, and that's exactly kind of what you went through, which is beautiful. Let me ask you, when you kind of stepped out on your own, you stopped the people pleasing, became authentic, became yourself. What was because of your midnight past, like what was the family's views and feelings towards you, if you don't mind sharing? I heard that giggle.
You,
I know it's
well,
coming.
no one wants us to change. I always give the analogy of,
The
I had
crab.
4 kids, and the
Yeah.
mobile over the baby's crib. If you ding one of those little
Yeah.
animals or whatever, the whole thing moves. And so when I start to change, of course, that just mixes things up, and nobody likes change. And of course, there's been some feedback even about my book,
Mm.
and that's, I guess, the hardest part of this journey for me. I thought I was over people pleasing, then I come out a book, and I'm like, wait, no, I still have to work at some of this stuff because
Sure.
it's human to want approval. I
Yeah.
have to just manage that with my truth and recognize that I maybe am different than my family, and neither one is bad or good or right or wrong.
Okay.
It just is.
Let
So,
let me ask you something with that. Analogy I use is crabs in a bucket. I'm sure you've heard this one where you're climbing out and they really pull you back to safety, right?
mm,
Do you think that came from love or more of oh my gosh, we might lose Trina?
yeah, I mean, I had a family member initially say, a fear that I was going to go too far over there.
Okay, okay,
Don't go too far over there. So
right,
yeah, that idea of come
okay,
back. We're afraid that you're going to go too far, and too far is not sure what that meant, but
no, I
yeah,
understand.
we're afraid we're going to lose you. We're afraid that you're going to, go too far from the fold, so
Sure.
to speak. Don't
What's
be
your
too much of a wild horse.
Exactly. What's your sticky note? Because a lot of times we're making that change. We're kind of going through things. There's so much pain that we're moving away from, but there was still comfort there as well. But some people put a sticky note on stuff to remember things. What's your reminder
Mm,
to yourself to
mm.
stay true, stay authentic?
I'm a quote junkie.
Love it. Me too.
I'm a
Me
quote
too.
junkie now. I can't even think of one. My goodness, you're catching me off guard here. Um, the one thing that I just, one of the things that I started with was disappoint one person a day.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. That is baller.
And if I don't disappoint them, then I'm disappointing myself.
Yes. Oh my God, Trina, that's badass. Excuse my language. That is amazing. Like
Do you
this
know my
was
subtitle to my book before this, 12 steps was people pleasing to badassery? So if
right.
you call that a badass question.
That's freaking awesome, man. Because you know what? I was kind of the same way in a sense, because people that know my story, they're like, I wanted to fit in so bad for
Yeah.
myself that I would do stuff.
Yes.
And my mentors would pull me aside and he's like, man, you need to make New Year's resolutions that last forever. So I do 2 every year since 2009, right? I say, 1, make someone smile every single day. Boom, right?
Mm,
I win. So you got a little grin there.
nice. I did.
Two, two, unless I've hurt you, disrespected you, or stole from you, I give 0, you know what's what you think about me. Once I learned
Mm,
to live by that, then because I mean, forgiveness to me is just giving up the hope of a better past, right? So that it's gone. Like I can forgive people and love them from afar, right? But I
right.
just can't
Right.
have that energy in my life.
Exactly.
And love
Yes.
that. So I have to ask you this because there's a lot of this that goes into your story. And Scott, we might go a little longer because this is freaking awesome. What is your what would be your definition of like responsibility? Because you had to take a lot of it during this time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think responsibility is? And I ask coaches this that I respect, like, but
Mm.
what do you feel if you had to speak it out, your definition of responsibility?
You may have heard this, but I like it where they break down the word into respondability, your ability to respond to.
Boom. That's what on stage you are a sister from another mister because on stage I speak that. That's one of my speaking points.
Oh,
Responsibility is
really?
the ability to respond. Swear to God.
Yes.
Heard it from Rod Harrison back in '09
I
and
don't even
from
know who I
Envision
heard it
Me.
from, but like I said, I'm a book
Yeah,
junkie and I pick those things up
that's
and yeah,
beautiful.
and
Thank
how we
you.
respond to life. And that is,
Yes, not react,
the biggest
respond.
thing to
Yeah,
people pleasing is like I have to take responsibility for my life. And
love it.
we can't be living somebody else's life.
We're best friends. That's all there is to it. Now, hey, let me ask you something. So you work a lot, which we talked off, Mike. You work a
Mhm,
lot with one-on-one. That's fantastic,
mhm,
just like I do.
mhm.
I have another coach squad that I can pick her brain here. This is fantastic. When you're maybe in that discovery period, seeing if you're the right coach, right horse for the course, I like to call it, the right coach for
Mhm.
them, you're kind of talking. Is there any secret sauce that you might use, if you don't mind sharing, to maybe help them like kind of identify their main blind spot?
I listen for what they find frustrating
Dude,
in other
I'm gonna cut
people.
you off right here because you just did it. You went silent. You went thinking. That's the best thing a coach can do is just listen. But anyways, go ahead. This is awesome. This is so fun.
Yeah, no, I think just, listening for what they find distressing about others. I know I'm doing the hard look at myself at this stage in my life and people in my life that I struggle with getting along with, and
Yeah,
and also seeing if there's any connection in myself that may be a reflection of that as well. Um, I can't say specifically that I have a process in helping them do that other than just a lot of asking questions
sure.
and looking at what's
Love it.
what's their triggers are.
And listening with your neck. That I can just see you doing that, not just the words, but listening, really leaning in and hearing that. So, how hard is it for someone like you in your past? And this is not derogatory at all, but how hard is it for someone like you to not get emotionally involved, not with the person, but with the person's story, because you're trying to move them into a better place in
Mm.
life and not, people please or really, level up and become independent on their own. How hard is that for you to not get stuck in someone's story a little bit?
Yes, I'm always putting that line of protection of me because I'm a very empathetic, sensitive person. So,
Right?
and I want so badly for people to grow. I mean, as a grower as well, you always see the best in them and can see their potential. And you know that it's a hard journey, but you know that you're going to be there to support them along the way because as we know as coaches we've done a lot of hard work. We've done the work and we know what it takes, and so we can be that guide, gently nudging, prodding,
Love it. Love
sometimes
it.
pulling along.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so maybe if you're still in that discovery period and you're kind of like working through and kind of a get to know them and really setting an agenda with them, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Mm. I think, yeah, I think for me, the big question that I would like them to ask me is how I emotionally regulate during this intense period of growth that people go through in order to emerge from people pleasing, because it's all about managing our fears and
Wow.
managing our anxiety, because we are so uncomfortable with that anxiety or that uncomfortableness when we know that people are upset with us, don't like us.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that is the hard work of this, is to really, soothe ourselves, so to speak,
Right.
in this process.
That's beautiful. That I couldn't have said it even better. Emotionally regulate through intense growth. That's that's pretty solid. Like, how can you do that as a coach and do my man? That's beautiful. So let me ask you something. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Long time ago.
Okay, can you believe it's coming up on 40 years?
Oh, really?
Like 85, it came out, right? So let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Michael J. Fox played him, right? Let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Trina. I don't know if it was Stutzman at the time. Let's just say 22-year-old Trina. What kind of knowledge nuggets, we call them here Time to Shine today, what kind of knowledge nuggets might you drop on her? Not so much change anything, because yeah, you wouldn't like the cancer and the divorce and stuff like that, but what you drop on her to maybe help her shorten a learning curve, level up maybe just a little bit quicker?
I think taking a hard look at your beliefs. I think all of our success and our work comes from our beliefs. And as a people pleaser, we're constantly this chameleon, blending, changing, molding into what other people want. And we don't really know what we think and feel. And as a 22-year-old, I was kind of this chameleon and not really knowing what I thought and felt and think. So I would probably get clear early on about what are my values and what are my beliefs, and my actions in life would flow from that
That's
in
beautiful, Trina.
a
That's
better
so
way.
good. That's so good. So then how does Trina want her dash remembered? That little line between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date. Hopefully it's way down the line. We already kicked the C's ass, right? But
Right.
let's keep moving forward. Like, how does Trina want her dash remembered?
What came to mind was just she lived fully. She lived with full expression, full energy, full on,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
but just fully. With my
Wow.
arms open, that was kind of a theme for me for a long time, of this
Yeah.
freedom of just, I like you said, you've surrendered to what people might think, and you just are okay with being who you're meant to be and letting your light shine.
And you're shining that light on others so they can too. It's like you're literally planting trees you're never going to sit in the shade of. I love that,
I've
man.
heard you say that
Yeah.
before, and that was one of
Yeah,
my
I
favorite
know. I'm
quotes too.
very sparsely say it, because this actually said to me by the person that kind of wrote it, and it's like at an event I was speaking, and that just really set me over the top with some stuff. So that's fantastic. So what is Trina's then definition of a life well lived?
She loved freely.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to your dash.
She loved freely. She was able to receive and give love freely. And I think that's a full life when um, this love for ourselves, pours over into
Yeah.
people that we encounter and meet. And I've had some pushback that I'm teaching selfishness with people pleasing. That's not true.
No, man. I ask
I'm
people to go
teaching a self.
yeah.
Having a self.
Yeah. I ask people to go to the dictionary and read selfishness to me. Nothing about it's derogatory. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think that people are not trying to level up to themselves are sinning. And I'm not meaning that in a religious kind of tone. Sinning, the root word of sinny comes from Greek, which means sinny, which means missing the mark. I think we're legitimately sinning if we're not really growing to the utmost. I mean, a dog, a cat, an animal can only live and evolve to so much. We can evolve to so much more and give so much more back. That's beautiful. Right. So then what do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
Misunderstand. I would say right now, with, you mentioned family, and what they misunderstand is that my sensitive side is my superpower. And there's been some thoughts that maybe I feel too much, and I maybe over journal, and but my sensitive side is really my superpower, which is part of the intuitiveness that is my gift in coaching.
Love that. Love it. And do you find yourself as you're making the transformation, you help others make transformation, do you ever find yourself falling into an imposter syndrome?
Of course.
Okay. Let me ask you, so how do you get past that in a sense?
I try to use my sense of humor. I try to acknowledge that, everybody's trying to do their best, right? We're
Yeah.
all just trying to do our best.
Yeah.
And, everybody has different life experiences. And, there's no amount of credentials behind our name that can make us feel worthy enough. I think that really comes from
That's beautiful.
internally,
Yeah.
believing that what we have to offer the world is unique, and
Right.
it comes from our life experiences. So no two people are the same in that. So I don't need to pretend to be anybody else.
Love it. Love it. So if I was at a networking event, out pressing flesh, meeting people, whatnot, and doing what God gave me 2 ears and one mouth for and listening for something, what might someone say that would make them a good referral for you, Trina?
A good referral is the people pleaser that really wants to live a fuller, bigger life, but feels constrained by, their lack of confidence, lack of not lack, but their overwhelmness, their unhappiness.
Wow.
Somebody who is just in that transition of, like, maybe their kids are gone and they just are not sure what to do next. They're in that midlife unraveling where they're really asking themselves some tough questions.
Right.
What's next for me?
Love it. I love it. How about 3 things that Trina can't live without? And I don't want to hear air and water and food. Like, give me 3 things, and they could be a noun. It could be person, place, or thing. Like,
Mm.
name 3 things that Trina can't live without.
Well, yeah, relationships, the deep,
Community,
deep kind
absolutely. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the deep connected, intimate relationships that I'm finally forming now that I've done people pleasing. Um, a blank page, because I'm a writer. I've been writing my entire
Love
life.
it.
And nature.
That's beautiful. Do you like to get out a little bit? Get out in
I
that
like to get
nature?
out a little bit.
Is it cold there? I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you. I'm in South Florida here in Jupiter, Florida. And it's like, yeah, I got my
Nice.
paddleboard this morning, nothing on. It was beautiful.
Oh,
Well,
wonderful.
something on, but it's just, it's me and my pit bull on there. So, Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. We are back. And Trina, I know we're going to rock some stages one day and be at some book signing events and do hopefully some coaching together as well. And we'll maybe talk about some of these questions at length. But if you listen to the show, you got 5 seconds with no explanations, and they can all be answered that way. I promise you. Okay, you ready to level up?
Ready to level
Let's
up.
do it. What is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Don't let money hold you back.
Ooh, love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Yoga.
Beautiful. What kind? I'm breaking my rule here.
Vinyasa.
Vinyasa, beautiful. I'm an Ashtanga guy. Beautiful.
Okay.
So I'm walking down the street. You're like, man, Fergie looks like he's a little bit in his doldrums. What book might you hand me outside of yours? What book might you hand me to level up?
Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Isn't that great? I have my freaking penny right here. I have my penny. I have to
You
show
have your
you.
penny?
I have my penny right
Is it
here.
compounding?
It's compounding. It sits literally on my desk since I've read Olson's book. I love
That's
it.
an
Love it.
amazing
And
book.
I got to speak with him years ago, and he's a brilliant man. I love it.
And there's a book, Slight Edge for Teens, if you have teens in your
Oh,
life.
really? Oh, that's right. You did
Yes.
put that out. Beautiful. That's a
So,
great book. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
smiley face.
Love it. Nicknames growing up?
Cat, because
Okay.
my name is short for Katrina.
Oh, really? I did not know that. All right.
Weena,
Cat.
also
Nina? Okay.
Trina.
I love it. I love it.
Tall
So,
Trina, I'm tall, so
me something in the past year, less than $100 that you think has really improved your life and leveled you up.
insight timer.
Love it. What's a hidden talent or superpower that no one knows about you?
I'm a card reader.
Nice. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Checkers.
Me too. Headline for your life.
She danced.
Nice. Love it. Go-to ice cream flavor, Trina.
Oh, mint chocolate chip.
Right. There's a sandwich called the Catrina. Let's build that sandwich for me.
Avocado, bean sprouts, little turkey, little cranberry relish,
Ooh, there you go.
little Swiss cheese,
Making me hungry.
and Dave's bread.
Love it. Love it. Favorite charity and or organization like to give your time or money to?
Oh, Mennonite Disaster Service,
Oh, beautiful. Okay, expand on
a
that. What does
Mennonite
that do?
Central Committee.
Okay,
They
beautiful.
send money around to projects around the world to help people in
That's awesome.
disaster relief.
That's beautiful. And the last question, you can elaborate on this one, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I'm going to go with the 90s.
90s? Awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. So how can we find you, Trina?
You can find me at trinastutzman.com.
Spell that for us, please.
TRINASTUTZMAN.
Beautiful. It's a fantastic site. Lots of good stuff on there as well. And let's dig into your book, 12 Steps to Overcome People Pleasing, One Woman's Journey of Awakening to Find Peace Using Practical Tools to Become Her True Self. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, well, I would say that I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm now recovered, I believe. Although it's still a journey, but going off the 12 steps in the recovery movement, I decided to do a little spoof on that. So these 12 steps are my testament to how I overcame people pleasing. It is a book that has a lot of nuggets. As they say, people pleasers don't have a lot of time, so it's kind of magazine style. It starts with a story from my own life, has my journal, some of my journal entries, some poems. It has a freedom toolkit with some simple tools, and then has some prompts and reflection questions at the end of each chapter.
Oh, beautiful.
So yes, I would
Did you
love
write
if
that during coronavirus, or when did you write that?
I just have had it on my laptop. You know how I'm that writer, I'm that quote gatherer.
Yeah,
And then it was
me
just a
too.
matter when I decided to do it. It
Yeah.
just seemed real simple to get the steps. I had my publisher help me with the format of it. And it was just a matter of looking at my own life, my resources, and what I already currently had, and to make it into a book. So it's a dream come true to be an author, a published author. And this month we're celebrating a year that it's been out, and it's
That's
been doing
beautiful.
well. And I'm enjoying
Yay.
sharing, spreading the word. So
Wow.
thank you so much for letting me
Yeah,
share it with your
absolutely.
community and having me on your
No,
show.
congrats on that success. That's beautiful that you got it out there, especially from somebody that was kind of, lack of a better term, silenced throughout life. To really
Yes.
get your voice heard and have the cojones to really do that. And so, squad, the first person that puts people pleasers are liars in anything. I don't care if it's Pinterest, Instagram. I don't care if you text it to us at 561-440-3830. Email it to us. Whoever says people pleasers are liars, I will personally purchase. Actually, let's do 4 books. Purchase 4 books. That Trina, if you don't mind, can I send you the money for me? You sign them and send you just a little bit extra for postage and mail them out to people. And
Perfect. I would
just
be
tell it
happy
who it
to, of
is, and then
course.
have you mail it out to them. That'd be fantastic. And Trina, do me one last solid and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Tell the truth. Just be a little bit more honest with safe people in your life. Find those safe people and just be a little bit more honest with them.
Wow, that is strong. And that can let you have your own individuality, and let you grow. And squad, we just had a fun conversation with really one of my besties now, Trina, she came from a community that all the same would be one. She was a compliant good girl. She faced the big C challenge. the cancer challenge, and that really kind of forced her to move into her authenticity, which I think is just it sucks that she had to go through it, squad, but it's in the end, it's kind of a blessing. She stopped people pleasing and became a truth teller and started valuing her feelings. And she wants you to do that too. She reminds us that people pleasers are liars, and that if you are a people pleaser, you maybe try to disappoint one person a day, because that's what Trina has a goal from. She's not disrespecting. She's just disappointing them. If they expect her to be somewhere, she might just not be there. Especially if it's an expectation. She really listens with her clients. So if anyone's that are looking to hire her, which I hope you do, she listens for those distress points. She really leans in with her neck and listens to all the senses, how you're looking. She might look for goosebumps or whatnot. So what's really getting you fired up, and then help you work through that challenge. And how you emotionally regulate through intense growth. Ask your coach that. Coach is not a coach just because, hey, wakes up one day and wants to be a coach. The coach is there and they had to go through that growth. And ask your coach how they emotionally regulated while they were going through that. She wants you to take a good, hard look at your beliefs, especially if you're younger, but even if you're older. That's where success will come from. Don't be a chameleon and really try to fit in. Be transparent, be authentic. If you don't know how, do like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, and get your asking gear. There's people out there like Trina or myself that will be happy to share knowledge with you. She will be remembered as someone that lived fully, arms open, freedom. Again, she planted trees. She's planted trees. She's never going to sit in the shade. She is somebody that lived and loved freely. And just also remember that your sensitive side can be a superpower. It doesn't make you meek and weak. It can be a superpower. And tell the truth with the save people in your life. That blew me away. That's fantastic, because they're the people that are trying to keep you safe sometimes are holding you back. And it could be jealousy. It could be they love you so much they're afraid to lose you. They could be envy or whatnot, but just be authentic, be yourself. That's what my good friend Trina does. She levels up her health. She levels up her wealth. She's absolutely beautiful and stunning. She's hungry and humble, and she's earned a varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, Trina. Absolutely love your guts.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Chat soon.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.